Hi guys, I go by Dopest Individual, and I am here to help you become your dopest individual. Now, today's topic is going to be about healing your inner child. That's something most of us all need, and here's why. Your childhood self is still inside you, okay? It's still there. You haven't taking your pieces apart and became a new person. The brain that you had when you were a child is still there. The feelings that you had as a child are still there. The memories that you had as a child, everything is still there. Okay. And sometimes a lot of us struggle in our teen and adult years because sometimes some of us had some not so pleasant things happen to us as a child, or just things that we tried to fathom as a child. We couldn't, because you're a child. Children have limited knowledge, they have limited understanding of how the world is. And so that's what we're going to talk about today, is healing that inner child, healing the things that you may have went through when you were smaller, that you didn't understand, and it may have left some scars. It may have really been a heavy, it might really have a lot to do with the way you think now because of something that you experienced when you didn't know any better. And so that's a really important thing to try to take a pause on, reflect on, because like I said, you're still that same person. A lot of people assume, or not assume, but as we get older in life, we start, there we have to adult now. We have bills now. We have other things that's going on now, and a lot of us rarely take the time to go and address our younger selves. So like I said, your younger self is still there, and if you're struggling with certain insecurities, self-sabotaging, I actually need my phone. Oh, I'm recording on my phone. Crap. People pleasing, stuff like that. Just really in core things that you wish you could change about yourself, but you don't know how to, because I don't even know where that came from. I don't even know where me being insecure about this even started from. Where does that even stem from? So on my page, I always like to have a not spiritual twist, but I always like to implement the spirituality of things. So like a flower, I like to compare, humans to flowers in many different ways. But just like every plant, there's a root, okay? And we could say right now that our root is our childhood, right? Okay, so to make this make more sense, I'm going to start off with an example about myself, because one, I like to do that so that people know that I can relate to them. Honestly, most things that I talk about are things that I've probably personally been through, dealt with, or something like that. And so, yeah, I'm not just talking to talk. So I have a little bit of a more innocent example, because, there are different things that happen in our childhood. Some people go through more traumatic experiences that could be harder to deal with, harder to fathom, and stuff like that. But the example that I'm going to give is just one of my examples. I have a few things that, I struggle with, but this one's going to be a little bit more lighthearted, okay? So, one of my childhood wounds was being insecure about, one, it was obviously just a lack of confidence within myself, and dancing, okay? I got to a point where I got super self-conscious about dancing, and I didn't want to dance around nobody, and blah, 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 right? Okay, bear with me. So, I want you to understand, I want you to pay attention to my thought process behind dancing. Now, my dancing can be your anything, okay? Just make it fit where it fits. So, I'm doing this childhood healing on myself. Okay, you like dancing. You like dancing. I like dancing. I like dancing. I just don't want to do it around people. I'm too embarrassed. I'm too shameful. I don't want people to talk about me. It's where'd that come from? Where'd that self-consciousness come from? And I remember I had a family member when we were younger. Now the thing about it is children are children. This is where you have to sit and like take it easier on yourself. I was a child, that person was a child in this scenario, right? Had another child talk about me as I was dancing. They were like a little bit older than me, but they were still a child. And I was really sweet and sensitive growing up. I wasn't some children knew how to some children were just already mean. Like they just knew how to talk and bully. I wasn't one of those children. So I was a more sensitive type. And yeah, I'm dancing, doing my thing. For the most part, you're free as a kid until somebody kind of you're usually doing your own thing as a kid until somebody else kind of makes you aware or overly aware of something that you did that you didn't know was a thing. So anyway, yeah, I'm dancing, doing my own thing. And then I had another child, just be like, you look weird doing that. You need to stop. You need to stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, ew. You look all awkward and like going into detail. I was like, oh, okay. So I stopped. Ain't nobody ever see me dance again after that. Like, where I look dumb? I look dumb? Oh, okay. Bet. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna dance no more. Bet. I'm never gonna put myself in a position of people talking about me. And I'm not gonna lie. That right there, what I just said, I'm not gonna put myself in a position of people talking about me. That alone, like the embarrassment that I felt alone off of just being called out for dancing, it made me become so hyper self-conscious about myself. Like trying to overly picture how I look to people from the outside, because I'm like, obviously the way that I think I look, I don't look that way. And so it's like this super hyper fixation awareness on like, oh my God. So it's just not healthy. But you got to understand, one thing is you don't know better as a child. And a lot of us, I have notes, but I'm definitely trying to come off the dome. This definitely might be like a part 1, part 2 series. So I just want to put this in like to a visualization for you. Oh, I did a little bit. So here is your child self, your teenage self, and your adult self. Look how small you were. Everything was small. Your understanding, your thoughts, your concepts of everything was small. And so since life tends to keep going on, the thoughts that we have as a child, we never go back and update those thoughts. So from there, some type of insecurity hit, some type of overly self-awareness, whatever. Since I never addressed that or went to an adult and talked about it or whatever needed to happen for me to feel better, it actually just grew. So even though in the childhood, that little small scenario was small, since I was so young, it was my world. You know what I'm saying? Because if that's the worst thing, like let's say I was 8 when it happened, and that's the worst thing that I went through as an 8-year-old, that was my world at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like that was my biggest fixation. And so it's like we have these screenshots in life. There's certain scenarios in life where it like really shocks us, and we can kind of stay there, especially when we don't go back and readdress that. The thing about getting older and readdressing it is you're older now. Okay, you should have a much better understanding of life, a more mature understanding of life, and you kind of have to go as your older self and talk to that younger self. And I actually saw this in a video on YouTube of someone else, and I really like how they put it. But in a way, you have to apologize to yourself because you didn't know better. You didn't know not to take it that seriously. And there's nothing wrong with what you did, because you only had 8 years of experience in this world. And that was like your first thing that shocked you. That was like, especially like with me being and most children are innocent. They don't know, the darker sides to life. And so that it doesn't matter what it is, honestly. It doesn't matter what dark thing that we experience, whatever it was, because we were starting off as a innocent hold on a innocent blank slate. Okay, you got an innocent little blank slate, and then bam, your first life experience, because life is a like an obstacle course. Okay, I when I start talking, sometimes I start getting like ideas about other subjects, and I'm gonna write it down versus going off on a tangent. But I just forgot it. Like, I know it's weird because sometimes thoughts come to me as I'm thinking, and I know that I'm not gonna remember it if I don't speak on it. Oh, I forgot what I was about to say. But anyway, ooh, that was gonna be so good. Oh my god. Anyway, um, I'm like being so hyper focused right now. I'm like, I can't lose track with them. Let me get back to what I was saying. Okay, I said something about a blank slate. Okay, so you have a blank slate. Oh yeah, life is an obstacle course. That's what I was saying. Life is an obstacle course. And I really want to make another video talking about, I have to say it out loud so I don't forget. I have to make another video about how to shift your perspective on life, because just because you were born in a certain circumstance, certain things, when you wake up seeing everything the same way, there's a part of you that doesn't know that a whole nother world exists. And on top of not knowing that a whole nother world exists, it's like, how do I get there if everything that I know is, you know what I'm saying, A, B, C, D. I want to go into, hopefully I remember what I'm trying to think by just writing that. But anyway, so yeah, you kind of have to go and reevaluate your childhood perspective, and as an adult, talk to that younger child, and because it's all still there until you pass. Like, it's all still there. Everything is, you're constantly evolving. I'm trying to, what's something that, like, you know those little pieces of hay that be tumbling, the tumbleweed things that be going through the desert. Think about when it started out as a small little tumbleweed. It started out as a small little tumbleweed. Now, throughout life, you know, more experiences happen to us, more things happen to us, more thoughts happen, and we're never going back and addressing the baby tumbleweed. So this baby tumbleweed is over here thinking, oh, I'm a little insignificant tumbleweed, and, you know, I have no real life experiences, and whatever the case. And then you keep going through stuff. You keep going through life, and now you have even more thoughts on top of that, okay? And so now you're at your adult tumbleweed, but you're not even realizing that the way that you navigate as an adult and the things that you believe in as an adult stem from the baby tumbleweed. It's still there. And how can I say this? You have to go and reevaluate how the baby tumbleweed thinks, because you're not disregarding the baby tumbleweed, but now that you're an adult and you have more understanding of life, you still still like navigating from baby tumbleweed's thoughts is taking us off course, because our core thoughts are still from when we didn't know any better. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's not disregarding what happened to you, because whatever happened to you, whatever started, whatever it is that you're dealing with, it's valid, but it's not as big as you thought it was when you were a child. Does that make sense? But if you don't go back and evaluate that, because energy does not die, it just sits there. We have to go back and transform it. And so that's why you have to go back to that inner child. You got to, first of all, find the core of it. You got to say, like, dancing was my one, that's my more innocent example. Okay, I don't like dancing. Why though? And then I was, good enough to remember where that stemmed from. I don't have the best memory with all my childhood traumas either. You know what I'm saying? I do definitely think sometimes I've blacked things out. But that's why I just use dancing. But anyway, I hope that makes sense. You have to Because what happened was, and your childhood self probably felt unheard. It probably felt unacknowledged about something. And when that doesn't happen, you just stuck. You had something happen to you. You don't know what to do with it. You didn't have any thoughts that made you feel better about it. So it just stayed there. And you formed these beliefs and ways of looking at the world based off when you still did not know any better. And so you got to go and kind of put some love back to that baby tumbleweed. You got to give it some love. You kind of got to tell it what you got to reparent yourself too a little bit, because now you know better. And now you can tell yourself, hey, that wasn't a big deal. Look, how old are we now? We've been through way worse than being talked about for dancing. Who cares? Now you're older and you can be like, hey, yo, little tumbleweed, trust me, ain't nobody care. That person was just being a hater, okay? They were just being a hater. And you can go back and you can tell that little tumbleweed, hey, yo, go do you, bro. Do you. Forget about them. You know what I'm saying? Talk to yourself in the mirror. Because like I said, you are still that same person. Do y'all ever like look at old pictures of yourself and kind of take yourself back to that time and how you were feeling at that time? Like, I do it all the time. And it's easy for me because she's still there. She's still there. And honestly, a lot of things that I know I want to do in life is me really becoming the person that I needed when I was younger. Life is so like this. I'm gonna try to make this short because it's about to be 20 minutes. I don't like editing videos like this because I'm really just talking. This is how I view life for a long time. I'm trying to get this out. It's so interesting that the very things that bother us when we're young or trigger us usually have a very strong correlation with what we need to be doing in life. So the example that I always give was growing up, like I said, I was more sensitive. I was more to myself, reserved. I mean, I still kind of am that way, but life has kind of taught me a little bit to work myself out of that. It's kind of where I'm going. My life mission, purpose, I think is something that I can't be in my shell with it. I can't be all to myself. I can't have all this information, but be so scared to talk to people. You know what I'm saying? So life, the thing that makes this thing spiritual is like, there's things communicating to you, but it's not communicating like this. It's communicating in every other way. Every other way. And when you pay attention, you can tell. It starts communicating to you through the people that you're around. It's interesting. It's like this big old game that needs to be deciphered. And that's why everybody's experience is different. So back to myself, because I want this to make sense, because this is real. Some of us, like, you know, when they say God doesn't give he gives his hardest battle to his toughest soldiers, I believe that's true. Because when most people are stronger than they know. And I try to tell a lot of people, especially when you're going through something, you be like, man, I really feel like this about to be that one thing that just take me out of here. Well, think about the last thing that you thought was going to take you out of there. Did it? It didn't? Okay, then. What are you learning from it? And me, I have a leader mentality. And so eventually I started realizing I go through things and I care to help people. I'm like, I go through things so I can help other people that may not be strong enough. Because once you are actually overcome something, it becomes a piece of cake. And I had to remember that. I had to remember, like, you know what? I actually want to help younger girls that are probably struggling with the same thing that I struggled with when I was younger. And I was trying to get online and find people that was telling me, you know, make me feel like I won't trip it, and I couldn't find that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I want to be that. Because just because you overcame something doesn't mean there's other people in the world that's not. And the whole goal is to help one another. Okay, I'm going to make another video on karma. That was actually supposed to be my first video this morning. On karma. But let me wrap this up because we are hitting 20 minutes. So one of the very first steps into enjoying your life and really getting a hold of like what's stopping you is you got to go back to that childhood. And you got to be real with yourselves, okay? Some of us had toxic parents. Some of us, and also you got to have this grace and understanding with your parents, because we all were children at one point. And we're really now getting to the point where we are becoming more mindful of the impact. And we have years and generations of trauma, y'all. So I also try to tell people, take it easy on your parents and take it easy on yourself. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was a child that didn't know any better, and everybody was only trying to do the best that they could. So you do have to go back. Life started, everything about you. They say that your subconscious mind is formed by the time you're 7 years old. And your subconscious mind is stronger than your conscious mind. Everything that you've experienced throughout life, even if you feel like you don't remember it, you remember it. It's just in your subconscious. Do your own research on the subconscious. I love getting facts about psychology because the whole world is perceived through our brains. And even though you think that the way that you perceive life is accurate, sometimes it's accurate to your emotions, but it's not accurate to facts, if that makes sense. For instance, if I was still thinking from my little baby tumbleweed self, and I didn't update that, and I didn't go back and tell myself, like, hey, yo, that was so long. You know what I'm saying? Tell myself that. How can I say that? You just got to go back and readdress that baby tumbleweed. You just have to. Because if your thoughts continue to trickle off of something like that, like you telling yourself, oh, now everybody, because what'll happen is, okay, bam, okay, nobody wants to see me dancing. Oh, I look terrible dancing. And you just keep trickling off of that. Lord knows what that can manifest into. You know what I'm saying? And then it gets to a point where you can't be out here playing victim to everything either. Well, they talked about me because I was dancing. They were a kid. You were a kid, or it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to go back and talk to yourself like, so what? So what they did it? When you go out dancing now, I bet you nobody gives a dang what you look like. You know what I'm saying? Or compare yourself to people. Because me, when I was still, I started dancing off to myself, dancing in my room because I like doing it. And then I go out in public and I would see somebody just looking foolish and not caring. And I would look up to that. I would look up to that because I'm like, I wish that I could just do it and not care. But I was so in my head about it. And it's just, you gotta let things go. You gotta let things go. Life keeps going. It's too much going on to be holding on to baby tumbleweed thoughts. Okay, if it's not helping you move forward, if it's just making you feel bad about yourself, you got to find a way to mend baby tumbleweed's thoughts, mature it, talk to it, parent it. Hey, it's okay. It's okay. Maybe that's what you needed. Maybe you needed somebody to rub you on your back and be like, hey, kids are assholes. Okay? That would have helped me. I'm not going to lie. Having somebody older than that child come to me and let me know that child was tripping, because in my brain, since that child was older than me, I thought that child was right just because they were older than me. Now that I'm older, I'm like, that child was still a child. But it's just the way that we view life. There's just this trusting that we have to people older and stuff like that. So that reassurance probably would have really helped me. You know what I'm saying? But now I can give that reassurance to myself. Now I can reassure myself that, hey, everything's okay. Go dance. Go dance. Nobody cares. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up. We're here in 25 minutes. I really hope this video has helped somebody. Leave some comments, hearts below. Let me know if this helped you. Let me know anything. Will I be making a part 2 to this topic? I'll see. If I do, you'll see it. If not, definitely stay tuned for another topic. Thank you guys so much for checking me out. Mwah. I'll see you on my next video.